The Morning Dump from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
DB, Andrew Rogers back. It's the Morning Dump from Hale Varsity Club. Hale Varsity Club, the best venue to watch sports, eat, drink, have a good time with friends and family, and also in tandem with Hale Varsity, the magazine, the only spot to grab the first news coming out of Lincoln. Use the promo code AR for that monthly subscription. I don't think there's another promo code out there.
There is. So. Why would you do that?
Huh?
Why would you situationally?
I'm a competitor.
Remember, the real love happens when you can cheer for other people, and it may be at your own expense.
Not in this case.
Well, I would cheer for people to use your promo code if you'd cheer for people to use mine.
But otherwise, if I'm not cheering for you, you're not going to cheer for me? You're not going to be a better man than me?
No, I absolutely will be. I don't believe my love should be situational. It is true, unconditional agape love. Even though you can be immature and not want to cheer for me, I got your back.
Win for me?
Oh,
use that promo code AR for a monthly subscription.
Wait. We did all that to arrive at that?
Well, I got to say it 3 times to get people to remember it.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that the verbiage? If you hear or say something 3 times, then it goes into long-term memory.
Promo code DB.
That's for the yearly subscription. So, yes,
let's get your year game right.
some type of win here. DB, I found myself sitting on my toilet a little longer today, taking a longer morning dump because I was hearing a lot of noise again here on Monday, as everybody else was. And let's just say the rumor mill is rolling again. Some would say there's no rules to when it comes to hiring the next head coach at Nebraska. You know better than anybody, though. And it seems to me that it's still too soon to hear something today. 2 weeks left of the regular season. But can people expect to hear something before the season's over?
I'd probably tell you, right, if it was going to go down today or something was going to go down today, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm here, right? Because you'd probably tell the network crew, you'd want to do interviews, things like that.
You'd be in Lincoln right now.
We're all right. So now I'm close to Lincoln because I'm just off, the Harrison Street exit out here. But
what's that, 40 minutes?
It's so Saturday to catch the flight after the high school game to get to Ann Arbor took me 34 minutes.
Oh, that lead foot of yours.
No, actually, so I put crews on 81 because there were 3 state troopers, and I drive to Lincoln enough in the morning to know
75, yeah,
where they are. So I'm 81, steady Eddie. Not like
6-7 miles an hour. You're
not good. Like Bauer.
Would you get 8-9 after going 75? I remember driving. So there's a road of 80 miles an hour in South Dakota. I remember driving that stretch at 89 one time, and I got stopped by a state
doing
trooper.
Too much.
And he said, "Dude, you're already going 80."
Yeah.
And imagine going. Now you're inching closer to 100, and I'm like, I didn't really think about that because all I thought about was, I'm only like 8-9 over the speed limit. But when you're going 89 miles an hour, that's fast.
Yeah, and it reminds me of an old school song. I was in high school, so you weren't even born yet, but there's a song by Crucial Conflict called Hey. And the term crucial conflict where...
You'd be right. I don't know that song.
It is. You'd be in conflict. So it's from my house, which will soon be about right where you are, 36 minutes to Lincoln without fret, because I went to the west end of Lincoln because I had to be at the airport. So 56th Street, 27th
How is
Street.
the Lincoln Airport? Is it easy to navigate?
It's totally fine. Well, I haven't been inside in years. Usually when I go there,
you got special treatment. You get to go right. To the hangar.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that even when we flew out of Lincoln as a player, it was commercial or chartered.
The Fast Pass.
And it's still chartered for what I do with them now. So this was just a little small 9-seater. Got up, got out.
I'll tell you what, though. It does feel good to, participate in, maybe the luxury side of things. I remember covering Morningside football when they went to the national championship game.
That's a good program.
And we went directly to the hangar. I think we got patted down, essentially, and that's it, by TSA agents. And then right onto the plane. You're just walking right next to the runway.
So I'm still kind of learning the protocols of the plane. So this was on the way back when I flew back with the team, like the important people get off first, and the important people sit closest to the front. So if you're like one of the equipment managers and you're back in the back of the plane, even though that plane, you're getting ready to deplane and everybody inevitably stands up. See, it's not like that on chartered flights with teammates because they know. Hey, they're not in a hurry at all. Right?
It is funny.
The equipment guys go first. The big wigs up front go, and then it's everybody else row by row and no strings attached. I'm always on the 5th bus or the 4th bus, which is media, or the broadcast team, or I go with the equipment guys. Our bus is always
5 buses. Holy cow!
4 or 5. So the first 3 are players, coaches, important people, and you wait. You go one at a time, so there are no lines. So one bus gets off, does their thing. The next bus pulls up, gets off, does their. It is very orderly, very sequential.
So you're in the back of the plane then when you normally fly?
Correct.
So would you rather be in the back, the middle, or the front? Like, where do you feel safest?
So if I'm a Southwest guy and I'm choosing my seat, I am still in the back.
I always like the back too.
As long as
the front.
As long as I'm by the window, I don't really care, to be honest.
I'm a window guy as well.
Yeah,
I don't ever have to get up and go to the bathroom, so I never choose the aisle.
Not a bathroom guy. I don't want anybody really running into me either.
And I like the wall. Like you lean against the wall.
Yeah, the awkward sharing of the elbow seat.
Well, the armrests go to the middle.
Oh, that's tough. And that's where the TV dials are. So, and it's one over. So let's say you're in the aisle, your TV would be controlled by the right arm seat. If you're in the middle, it's controlled by the right arm seat, and so on. So if you're in the aisle, your left elbow could be messing with somebody's television selections.
Your left elbow does not go to the back of that arm.
I think I changed the Auburn Texas A&M game on a few occasions to Georgia Mississippi State for the gentleman sitting next to me. I felt bad. I kept apologizing.
Kept changing that Kansas.
Yeah,
Texas
I was doing it with my elbow too. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I figured it out.
I like that. Kind of a behind-the-scenes look for you as you headed to a snowstorm.
Total first world problems. I couldn't believe it. Those flurries got going early, especially in pregame. And Nebraska didn't come out until 43 minutes on the clock. I couldn't believe it.
Stay warm.
43 minutes, and they had to be off at 22.
Now, I don't want to dwell on the L, but I do want to touch on a couple of things. First, efficiency. It's amazing how much control you can have when you eat clock.
Mm-hmm.
I said all week Nebraska could put together something special if they control the line of scrimmage. 2.6 per carry doesn't do that. Now, Michigan didn't do anything fancy, but they did show how much stronger they were as a team. Ran for 264 yards, had that average of 5.4 a carry. When you look at how Michigan approached this opposed to Nebraska, do you think it was just a size difference at the end of the day? Like, do you think one team was just, how do I put this, built stronger, had a better foundation than the other?
Yeah, so I think, so there's a couple things in that. Number one, the way that Michigan ran the football, you can tell is something they do over and over and over again. It didn't matter, who the running back was, whether it was Corum or Stokes or Dunlap or Gash. They all kind of looked the same, right? Downhill runs. They do what I call press the point of attack. That means they stay on a path until something gets them off, and then they get very small in the hole. Like they were, Hart and those guys, the O-line coaches, offensive coordinators, Mike Hart, the running back coach, they do a really good job of knowing exactly who they are. And I think their identity is snap it again in a favorable position. 1st and 10 needs to be 2nd and 6. 2nd and 6 needs to be 3rd and 1. And so often they found themselves with favorable numbers to work with because they know who they are. So when I watched Nebraska fit in the run game, I actually thought it was pretty good in terms of being gap sound. physically, they just weren't where they needed to be to stop guys at the point of attack.
I thought Purdy was really strong, too, moving his legs until he got hurt. I thought he did a really nice job early on in the game finding ways to get first downs.
Well, and I mean, listen, you got to force your opponent to have more than 10 third downs. You know, Michigan was 40% on third down, 4 of 10. But when you only see 10 third downs a game, you either don't have the ball very much, which was not the case because Michigan had the ball almost 36 minutes, or you're just not having a lot of third downs. You're having a lot of first and second down success, which is exactly what Michigan was doing.
Now, you mentioned Blake Corum. Of course, he was the guy everybody was paying close attention to in this game. The question now, DB, is he the Heisman caliber running back that you were looking at being a voter?
Well, he's really, really good, but I don't think I can vault him just yet into the top 3-4 discussion. I think he's about right as a fave, sitting at 5th in terms of his odds, because he's fantastic. But you could make the case, especially after watching their other running backs run, okay, system guy. I'm not going to go as far as to call him that. You don't go 28 for $162 and 5.8 a carry and be a system guy. But I don't know if there was enough separation for me to say, okay, Heisman hopeful.
I'm with you.
He's way good, though.
He has tremendous vision. There were numerous
unbelievable vision.
There were numerous
patience.
times that he either found the hole every single time, or when it was bunched up, he's bouncing outside.
How about how subtle he could get with just turning his shoulders and kind of dropping his pad level, where I felt like Nebraska fit correctly. He just was better than
and
they
strong
were.
after contact as well.
Well, you look at his frame, boy, he is a hammer. You know, he's 5'8", 5'9 and a half, maybe. But he is all of 205, 210 pounds.
I just think he's a product of a great team.
Man, his offensive line is athletic.
And that, to me, hinders him when it comes to winning the Heisman Trophy.
Different than what you saw in the human highlight reel of like a guy like Hendon Hooker against Missouri. Although Missouri's not very good defensively, you could see the individuality and the singular kind of
which is what the Heisman Trophy's
play
built
production,
for.
yeah. I mean, I could see that a little bit, but taking nothing away from Corum.
No,
I
he's
think
really good.
He's a fantastic runner.
If you watch his highlights, he gets the ball, and it's virtually 1st and 7. Though.
How about his burst, though?
He's got great
his ability
speed.
to get through the hole is something else. And, shoot, if you're Nebraska, you did a pretty good job of limiting, the longest runs from scrimmage because they didn't really gash you. I mean, the longest run they gave up from scrimmage was 17 yards, and that was to Stokes. They gave up a 12-yarder to Corum, so it was kind of
and the secondary did a great job, too, without Miles Farmer.
Yeah, they did. Well, they used Gifford in more of a traditional safety role, and I think that kind of helped them cover up a little.
I know the weather wasn't very nice to whether it's the deep ball or just the pass in general, but when you look at J.J. McCarthy, he just really wasn't connecting with any of his big names out there.
I felt like the secondary did a good job. They fell asleep on Ronnie Bell in the end zone, but for the most part, their eyes were pretty good. They won some 50-50 balls, and I felt like the coverage was pretty tight. And McCarthy didn't appear to enjoy much at all of muddy pockets. So I think if you're a Michigan fan, that's one of the things you want to see them improve on because it's not always going to be smooth sailing back there in the pocket. And you got to win some of those 50-50 matchups on the outside.
Now, history is on Blake Corum's side, though, to win the Heisman Trophy this year. 3 times since Ron Dane in 1999, a running back took home the Heisman after 6 years' time. So it went, if we go back, go to Derrick Henry, go to Mark Ingram.
Nice little chicken nugget.
And then what is it? Reggie Bush was too soon? Or was it Reggie Bush?
Hashtag too soon. That was 05. Was that 05? Yeah, that was 05.
And then so he would have been the miss, and then it would have went to Dane. Yeah. So there's potential if we are believers in conspiracy theories and how people want to place things left and right. Maybe it's Blake Corum's time, but I'm really with you. I'm going to say it again, just a product of a great team. Yes, he's got explosive speed. He's got great vision. He's got everything it takes to be a soon-to-be NFL caliber running back. But put any running back behind that Michigan offensive line, and they're just.
Well, I don't want to go as far to say that, but that offensive line is.
I mean, you put Deuce Vaughn back there, he does the same thing.
Well, Deuce Vaughn's a stud, though.
But that's what I'm saying. Any top-end running back.
Now put me back there, and let's see if I can pull that off.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see if anybody can do it.
Don't knock yourself, man.
At 48 years young, you know.
Man, don't knock yourself down. We don't need you doing that.
Not at all.
Now,
I always wanted to do that and not annoy people.
Now, I asked you a question, though, at the start of this episode, and I'm going to finish with this question, too. Can people expect to hear something about a head coach before the season is over?
Well, I think maybe you're looking maybe the week of the Iowa game because you're going to have a recruiting trail, a recruiting kind of buzz, and there's going to be a little bit of a dead period, then there's a signing day. And so I think that's probably about what I would look. Because, listen, let's be mindful at the task at hand. I think Trev and Mickey have a fantastic relationship. And it's just like Mickey said yesterday, you know, it's a 2-game season. They're going to go get it. It starts with Wisconsin. That's how they're preparing. I think the kids have earned the right to not have some as minimal of distractions as possible, as long as the other parties, whatever's going to happen, are well aware of what's going on and kind of the timeline. I think everybody will be fine. And plus, you know, Trev wants to talk to Coach Joseph and the rest of that staff before anything happens.
I love Mickey coming out, too, and saying that this team needs to recruit better as the years go on. I
thought a lot of people that gave that pushback kind of took that out of context. You know, because it wasn't a slight to the guys that he's coaching. What he's saying is they need to – listen, I told you about the 2-year plan that he put together in terms of the roster needs and the holes and where they need to develop.
And I think that's the right turnover rate.
That's about what – I mean, that's really what he's talking about when he says they've got to recruit better. It's not going to get the next 4 or 5 star. Your misses can be as good a misses. If you get your 4 stars, those guys have to pan out. The attrition can't continue to be what it has been. There's lots of things into him going into saying that I felt like needed either some follow-up questions, some clarity, or better context.
Well, look, and nobody's job is secure right now. This team is struggling for a reason.
Yeah, there's no question.
So don't act like that just because a coach says that you need to recruit better, that means, well, you don't like anybody on this team.
Well,
no, he just knows that.
Between me and you know what it really means? It means identifying the guys in that locker room versus who you want to be as a team. And I think that's lent itself to part of the reason that they've been so disjointed when it comes to development standpoint. Everybody's got their mouth shot out about strength and conditioning and whatever, right? Again, I think it's more about, and I've said this before, I've given this analogy, Drew Down. If I know what I want if you tell me what I'm supposed to draw, or I know what that end picture is supposed to be, it doesn't matter if you give me a marker, colored pencils, chalk. It may not have as much detail, but I know what the picture is supposed to be, so therefore I can develop better. Nebraska's been all sorts of things, offensively, defensively, so having an identity and knowing what you want to be, i.e. the end picture, that gives me a little more margin of error for the tools that I'm using. So I think identifying recruits in terms of what the long-range plan is will go a long way for this program.
Look, if you're 6-4 like Illinois, then maybe a quote like this doesn't come out. But also at the same time, Bielema would be remiss to think that his team's perfect.
Yeah, well, he told you how good his offensive line wasn't a year ago and how they shouldn't be on scholarship, and all they did was have a good November. So, I mean, that's more for us to get up in arms about than I think the actual players and coaches do.
Now, speaking of Mickey Joseph, how about him and his help to develop Justin Jefferson into the receiver he is today? Was that catch better than OBJ's back in 2015?
Yeah, there have been some doozies this year. You go to Denver and Tennessee.
George Pickens had a crazy one.
Pickens had a nice one. I mean, just the way that these guys train and get after it and the degree of difficulty and athleticism, the sky's the limit for what a lot of these guys can do outside the numbers. And it's an offensive league. When you can't touch guys and they can train the way that they do, man, you're going to see some Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey type stuff.
Do you think that catch was better than OBJ's, though?
Yeah.
I do, too.
I do. I mean, no.
I also think, like, if you look at Super Bowl catches, David Tyree is better than Santonio Holmes.
Yeah, that was a little fluky. I don't know if Tyree could do that one again. A lot of these guys practice those OBJ, those Jefferson catches, the Cortland Suttons. Like, a lot of times those guys will practice those kind of balls.
Yeah. Well, Tyree's...
Just get it near me. I'll go get it.
The Tyree Holmes argument, I guess I would just have to say, like, situationally, I think Tyree's just wins because of that. And
yeah, it was a Super Bowl.
I know what you're saying. Well, and Holmes was too.
You talking about Santonio?
Yeah.
Oh, the one in the back of the end zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't as good. The throw was better than the catch.
Oh, yeah. That ball was dropped in the only spot it could be caught.
And no disrespect to Santonio. I'm a Holmes guy, right? And I got the Steelers a championship, so, hey, listen, man, all the love in the world, but the throw was better than the catch.
Look at you. I thought we were going to have a back-and-forth argument there because you're a Steelers guy, and I thought you'd be a homer. But look at you, look at perspective.
No, I like being objective.
I love it.
You could tell me anything.
Now, would you make the
Selfish.
case? Would you make the case that Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Boy, that is tough. There's that guy that's down there in Miami that has really changed that offense.
What about the guy up in Buffalo?
I like Diggs. I like Diggs a ton, but man, I don't know. Tyreek Hill is a game changer because he compromises your game planning.
He can do more than Justin Jefferson can do.
You
add that speed element to a wide receiver's game, and you can do a little jet sweep action. You can go deep down the field. He may not make a super acrobatic one-handed grab, but he will chase down a ball that gets lofted up.
He changes the way you can game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
Pretty crazy. A great weekend in review. It started with the Huskers and the noise surrounding the head coaching search again today. What we would like to offer to you is maybe just to sit back, take it all in again, and relax. Don't get too caught up in the noise. We ran over the news regarding the Huskers recap against Michigan. Take away the positives that you can from that game, and also just recognize that Michigan is the number 3 team in the country for a reason. And then we followed up with a little Justin Jefferson talk. I had to get that in there because that just was a wow factor for me on Sunday. I was making soup on Sunday, and then I almost threw the ladle.
You made a concerted effort to make soup?
Oh, I love making soup.
If it's not clam chowder, what's the
chicken and dumpling soup is what I made.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
And then last week I made chicken and gnocchi.
Nothing like soggy dough. Are you a gnocchi guy? Really?
Oh, baby. If you go to Olive Garden, give me that gnocchi.
I'll tell you what, the best gnocchi in the city is that meatball.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh, thank me later.
I will.
No, it's truly, it's top shelf.
I will. Now get all of your top coverage by following us on Twitter. That's at Hurrdat Sports, and you can get your podcast. Catch any episode, whether it's Benning Bites, whether it's Morning Dump, or whether it's Sports Six Pack. Wherever you get your podcast, that's either Apple or Spotify. If you're looking for that news right away, again, go to Hail Varsity, subscribe, check out the magazine. We have a team of fantastic writers that are always on top of it. Use that promo code AR for monthly, DB for yearly. But also, I find it's really easy to get in touch with whatever news you need by following DB on Twitter, at Damon Benning. He's talking about anything from the Huskers to what Zoe did this morning.
Creighton, NFL, Major League Baseball,
You're
WNBA.
all over the place. You're a smorgasbord of fun.
Occasionally I'll hammer Jason Whitlock.
And you know what?
I'll give you whatever.
I would also say, too, if you're looking for just a positive follow, that's DB.
Oh, yeah.
You're a positive guy.
I don't complain much, man. My glass stays half full.
And if you're looking at just me on Twitter, that's at Andrew Rogers TV. I don't tweet as much as I probably should, but I have some crazy takes here.
We'll figure out how to get that media game right.
We'll find a method there. Thanks for joining us. Wipe, get on with your day. We will see you tomorrow.